anymore. We didn't stop working hard. The rules changed. I'm running to get money out of politics, past real term limits, tax the wealthy, not the workers, and guarantee health care as a right, because you shouldn't have to be a billionaire to get a fair deal. I'm Graham Plattner, and I approve this message.
Up in Smoke Fireworks is family-owned with a huge selection including Brothers and Showtime, Time Bandit, and Black Hat brands. We will share our knowledge with you, then go have a blast. Up in Smoke Fireworks, 173 West Main Street, Searsport.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
It all comes down to this.
Beginning tonight, the epic 4-night Celebrity Jeopardy All-Stars finale event with all 3 returning champs.
It's just too intimidating.
A new episode each night.
TV characters, 1,500, and I better be up there.
With a Friday finale showdown.
It was Taft. Wow. Who walks away with $1 million for charity? Come on.
Come on. I knew it.
Celebrity Jeopardy All-Stars 4-night finale event starts tonight, 8/7 Central on ABC and Hulu.
Welcome to another episode of How the Hell Do We Make This Funny?
You are the leader of the resistance.
You've been in the news a lot. I didn't know if I was going to see you again.
Let's have some fun. Now I'm blushing. Knock it off! Remember when he was president? It was a movie, but still, it was nice.
Jimmy Kimmel Live, weeknights on ABC.
This is ABC 7 News at Noon.
Hello, everyone. Coming up this afternoon, excuse me, I'll try to stop coughing. A Trenton man faces charges after a domestic violence case led to the discovery of explosives. We'll have that story coming up. Also, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth back in the hot seat on Capitol Hill today. And we'll also tell you about an effort to restore a piece of Downey's history that has become weathered over time. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Craig Colson, sitting in this afternoon for Susan Farley. We thank you for joining us. We're also looking into reports of a plane crash involving a Warden Service plane this morning. We don't know much at this point, but as soon as we do, we will pass it on to you. We're going to have all the news coming up, but first let's start off with a check of the forecast. Today, starting off pretty nice out there. Saw lots of sunshine this morning, but we'll see some more clouds as the day rolls along, and then some rain will be moving in for the next couple of days. For more on that, let's turn things over to Devin Biggs.
Hey Craig, happy Tuesday afternoon. The main area low pressure is now getting out of here. We will be watching for more clouds developing today with another surface boundary that will be passing through the area. So as we do zoom things out, you can see that main area low pressure right there that is moving away, kind of stirring up the ocean a bit, but overall not too bad. I'll show you the wave heights in your full forecast, but in the meantime, you can see a tiny bit with more clouds tracking to the west, the northwest, I should say, going to the south and east, and that's what's giving us more clouds this afternoon. So here's Futurecast right here. You can see the clouds that have been tracking through. We'll have more of that until about this evening before those clouds clear up for a while. More clouds on the way as we head towards your Wednesday. But in the meantime, here's those gusty winds reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour today. Winds backing off as we head towards the evening time frame. And then once we head towards tomorrow, winds picking up again up to around 20 miles per hour. So overall for today, upper 50s, increasing clouds and breezy. Northwest wind at about 25 miles per hour. By tonight, partly cloudy. We will have frost with low 30s for the overnight low and a calm wind. Hourly forecast moving forward. All right, we'll have the clouds with temperatures in the 50s and then cooling off. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig?
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on with your full forecast. Well, as we said, we're looking into reports of a plane crash involving a Warden Service aircraft. There aren't many details available at this hour, but it appears to have happened in a wooded area in the western Maine town of Avon. That's an area northwest of Farmington. According to social media reports, rescuers are now heading that way, and we'll certainly have more information as soon as it's available. A Trenton man is in custody this noon after police discovered several improvised explosive devices at a residence. The discovery occurred while officers were responding to a domestic violence incident over the weekend. 43-year-old Anthony Nickerson is being charged with domestic violence assault, possession of a firearm by a felon, or a prohibited person rather, arson, and criminal use of explosives. According to state police, troopers were called to a residence on Oak Point Road in Trenton shortly after 9:30 Saturday morning for a domestic violence incident. While responding, police learned the suspect, identified as Nickerson, had left the home and was possibly in possession of hazardous explosives. Troopers later located his vehicle at his house on Bar Harbor Road in Trenton, and during the investigation, several improvised explosive devices and materials to manufacture them were located and rendered safe by the state police bomb squad. Officials say a woman involved in the initial incident was not hurt. Nickerson was taken into custody without incident, and that investigation remains ongoing today. The suspect in a 39-year-old murder case entered a not guilty plea on Monday. 63-year-old Stephen Bouchard of Winslow is accused of killing his girlfriend back in 1987. 23-year-old Alice Hawks was found dead in her Westbrook apartment that she shared with Bouchard. Bouchard was 23 years old at the time and claimed he returned home to find her body in a bathroom. Bouchard was a suspect in the case but wasn't charged until the state police relaunched a full investigation last year, which led to a murder indictment. Bouchard pleaded not guilty during his court appearance on Monday. He's being held at the Cumberland County Jail. Law enforcement is asking for the public's help as investigators work to identify those responsible for a spree of car break-ins in Eddington. As deputies continue their investigation, our Alex Schley tells us residents in the community say they're left feeling uneasy.
The Penobscot County Sheriff's Office is investigating a string of alleged car burglaries along Route 9 in Eddington. Investigators say the incident happened between midnight and 3 o'clock Sunday morning.
Right down Route 9, I think we had at least four reported one day, and they're continuing to come in as the stories are coming out.
One of the first residents to report a break-in was Chris Glick, who found his car door ajar early that morning.
I noticed the center console was up, and that was weird. So we kind of started rifling through it, looking to see if anything was misplaced or, not there.
Glick said he found a gift card and a set of keys were missing.
And so that's when we texted the neighbors. You know how it goes. The fire started, and the neighbors had said that, yep, somebody was in their car and they lost a wallet.
As neighbors compared notes, more victims began coming forward. One resident says her Coach purse, which contained her wallet along with her work bag, were also stolen.
It makes you feel gross, violated.
The Penobscot County Sheriff's Office says investigators believe more than one person may have been involved. This ring camera video from one of the targeted homes appears to show two individuals moving from vehicle to vehicle, trying the handles before a floodlight turns on, scaring them off.
As of today, we do have a couple leads that we're following up on, and we were able to collect some evidence on scene to hopefully can help us lead us in the right direction.
Investigators are now asking residents and businesses in the area to review their security camera footage for any suspicious activity during overnight hours. Anyone with information is urged to contact the Penobscot County Sheriff's Office. In Eddington, Alex Schley for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
A woman from southern Maine is accused of stealing an ambulance from a hospital in Biddeford. Police say the Northeast ambulance was taken on April 17th, and they were able to track it thanks to a device on the vehicle. It was later spotted in Buxton, where Crystal Zahn was arrested. She's facing theft charges and was taken to the York County Jail. The Maine Republican Party has announced Vice President J.D. Vance will be visiting the city of Bangor this Thursday. The Vice President will touch down on Thursday and visit Bangor Aviation at the Bangor Airport. The event is scheduled to officially begin at 11:30 a.m. with remarks from the VP shortly after noon. The Maine Republican Party is hosting the event. They say that they're honored to welcome Vice President Vance and are encouraging Mainers to attend. Absentee voting for the upcoming primary election is now underway. The primary is on June 9th, and absentee voting traditionally begins 30 days before. Folks can call their town office and request ballots by phone or in person. And if you request the ballot in person, you also have the option of filling it out right then and there, casting it right away. You can also request it through the Secretary of State's website and have it sent to you. Officials say absentee voting offers folks flexibility and greater access, especially for those in rural areas. They say they are expecting high voter turnout this year.
This election has some really high-profile races, that are getting national attention. And we have so many candidates on both sides that I think we will have a really strong turnout. I think people are really engaged and they want to cast their ballot and have their voice heard.
Well, another important thing to note, if you are not enrolled in a political party, you can still vote in the primary. You will simply have to choose which one when you arrive at your polling station. Well, candidate for U.S. Senate Graham Plattner recently unveiled a 5-page energy platform outlining how he plans to help Maine households combat rising utility costs. Plattner spoke about the plan while campaigning in Hancock County and also made time to vote in his hometown of Sullivan. Grace Blanchard was also there.
With in-person absentee voting underway in Maine, U.S. Senate candidate Graham Plattner wasted no time in casting his vote, visiting the Sullivan town office Monday morning.
Voting early is a way to guarantee that your voice is going to be heard, and I urge all people in Maine to do so.
His time in Hancock County did not stop there, as the Democratic candidate made his way to Ellsworth to highlight his multi-step plan to address energy costs.
And Mainers are working harder than ever, having to choose between gas and groceries.
Plattner's plan aims to slash prices by eliminating the federal gasoline and diesel tax and increase investment for clean energy projects instead of military spending and foreign war.
There is no better use of American dollars to protect our national security than creating a robust energy system that makes us self-sustaining.
Surging energy and fuel costs are squeezing the budgets of many Maine families.
Electricity bills and oil bills are both through the roof. And food. I mean, everything costs so much more.
Everything's far apart. Sometimes you have to drive an hour to work. And that is going to impact everybody as they drive around.
Plattner argues the Iran conflict is exacerbating the cost of energy, placing blame on Senator Susan Collins, who recently voted to end the conflict.
We're getting hurt in the first place because instead of spending money here in the United States, we're spending it on an illegal war in Iran that she supports.
The oyster farmer also proposes a strategic fuel reserve for American farms and fisheries and a home repair program to benefit Mainers with older homes. But first, he must secure the Democratic nomination and go head-to-head with Collins in November.
If we fail, we will face chronic energy shortages and continue to be crushed by high energy prices.
In Ellsworth, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
In other news, residents of Tremont voted Monday to allow a deer hunting season this fall. The move reverses a 100-year hunting ban on MDI. According to the Bangor Daily News, the majority of voters are in favor of allowing a hunt to help deal with an overpopulation of deer. The state plans to hold a public hearing on that issue before granting final approval to that plan. Police canines around the country who were killed in the line of duty were honored during a solemn ceremony in Washington, D.C., including Maine State Police Canine Preacher, which was killed last year.
Canine Preacher, Maine State Police, Maine, February 4th.
That was Preacher's handler, Maine State Police Sergeant Jonathan Russell, laying a rose on the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial during the National Police Canine Memorial Service in Preacher's honor. Preacher was killed in early February of last year during a violent standoff in Portage Lake. The ceremony was organized by the National Police Dog Foundation as part of National Police Week. Canines from all around the country were remembered as their handlers laid roses and took a moment to honor their partners once again. Additionally, Sergeant Russell tells us that last month, Preacher was inducted into the National Law Enforcement Hall of Fame as their 2025 Canine Hero of the Year recipient. And coming up on ABC 7 News at noon, inflation hits new highs and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth faces tough questions from lawmakers. We'll have the story straight ahead.
I got hurt in a car accident. Why should I call the twos?
Because when you're hurt, you need money. And I don't take tiny checks. I get my clients big checks. We got a client who fractured their pelvis, a big check for $300,000. And another client broke multiple bones, and we got them a big check for $700,000.
Don't take a tiny check for your car wreck. Call the twos.
I'm your go-to guy.
Why should your new floor come from Carpet One? Because we're passionate about the spaces our neighbors call home. We're part of your community, and we're also part of the world's largest cooperative of independently owned and operated flooring stores. So you can be sure you'll get great selection and outstanding value with every installation. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, tile, or luxury vinyl, our experts take the guesswork out of choosing the right floor. We're your local Carpet One Floor and Home, the one store for your perfect floor.
Are you in need of remodeling your bathroom? Want to convert your tub into a safe walk-in shower? Call the experts at Bangor Bathrooms by Design now. They offer complete bathroom remodels, and from start to finish, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Call them now and save thousands. 659-6457. Enjoy that brand new bathroom you've always wanted from Bangor Bathrooms by Design. Transforming bathrooms, elevating lives.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes & More has a team of experts trained in podorthics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or the hard-to-fit foot. Discover the latest in functional and fashionable footwear for men and women from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Merrell, and Ariat. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit-and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
Graham, why are you running for Senate?
Because I f***ing love this state. When I got home after my service overseas, I was struggling. Maine wrapped its arms around me. My community gave me belonging. Our natural resources gave me purpose. Now all that is under attack by corrupt politicians who are selling us out to corporations and billionaires. I'm Graham Plattner, and I don't take a dollar of corporate money. And I approve this message because I won't turn my back on the home that never turned its back on me.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. New numbers on the economy released today showing a sharp increase in inflation, the worst in 3 years because of the war in Iran. Meanwhile, Secretary Hegseth is back on Capitol Hill, but so far, mum on the future of the war and what the next steps might be. ABC's Olivia Rubin has the details.
Today, new data showing the economy taking a hit from the war in Iran. Inflation sharply increasing to 3.8%, the highest level in nearly 3 years, according to data from the Labor Department. The Strait of Hormuz, where about 1/5 of global oil supply passes through, has been shut down during the war, sending energy prices surging. Now up nearly 18% year over year. Gas up nearly a staggering 30%, according to the data. Now, the typical American household is spending $266 more a month on the same goods and services from a year ago, according to Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics. And after more than a month of negotiations, President Trump still has no deal in place to reopen the strait or end the war. Negotiations essentially at a standstill.
I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support.
And up on Capitol Hill today, lawmakers pressing Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth for answers as the Trump administration seeks $1.5 trillion in defense funding.
The question must be answered at the end of this crisis. What have we accomplished and at what cost?
But Hegseth rebuffing, not saying any specifics about next steps.
We have a plan to escalate if necessary. We have a plan to retrograde if necessary. We have a plan to shift assets.
And now the acting Pentagon comptroller telling lawmakers today the estimated cost of the Iran war, now $29 billion. That's up from the $25 billion he testified to just 2 weeks ago, saying that update comes after accounting for equipment replacement and other general operational costs. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
Meanwhile, 2 people remain hospitalized today after a gunman opened fire in Cambridge, Massachusetts. People were running for cover Monday when 46-year-old Tyler Brown opened fire. 2 men were struck while they were in vehicles and are said to be fighting for their lives today. Officials say the shooting spree finally came to an end when a state police trooper and a civilian, a U.S. Marine, both opened fire on the suspect, leaving him in intensive care. Authorities say Brown was on probation and has an extensive criminal record. He pleaded guilty to being in another shootout with Boston police back in 2020. Health officials keeping a close eye on 18 former passengers who were on the cruise ship struck by that deadly hantavirus. ABC's Lionel Moyes with that story.
New questions about how hantavirus may spread. Dr. Ashish Jha, who led the White House COVID response, suggests the virus may transmit more easily than previously believed, posting, "There is growing evidence from the ship that you probably don't need prolonged close contact to spread the virus."
The new piece of evidence here is actually one of the passengers who became the ship's doctor when the crew doctor became ill, who noted to health officials that perhaps some of the passengers were getting ill despite not having close and prolonged contact, that they may have gotten ill just with some short interactions with some of the sick passengers.
2 Americans are being treated inside a biocontainment unit in Atlanta. 16 others are under monitoring at a special facility in Nebraska, one sharing this selfie of his room. They'll be screened, and those not showing symptoms may either remain in voluntary quarantine or go home and self-monitor during the virus's 42-day incubation period. That differs from countries like Spain and France with mandatory isolation measures. The director of the Nebraska Biocontainment Unit is also encouraging quarantining for the full monitoring period.
We have health officials at HHS and the CDC who are saying that a mandatory quarantine is not necessary.
Maryland, the latest to confirm it's monitoring 2 residents who were on a flight with a cruise ship passenger who later tested positive. And 3 people in quarantine are from New York. The governor mobilizing public health teams for a worst-case scenario out of an abundance of caution.
I just need to do the responsible thing and prepare.
Officials insist the risk to the public remains low, and as for those passengers who leave Nebraska for home monitoring, they will not be allowed to travel on commercial flights. Lionel Moyes, ABC News, New York.
And a quick update today concerning that Frontier Airlines jet that struck a pedestrian on the runway Friday night. The medical examiner's office has now identified that victim as a 41-year-old man, and they say that was a case of suicide. He jumped the fence and then stood in front of that speeding plane. We'll be back with more, including your full forecast, after this.
Up in Smoke Fireworks is family owned with a huge selection including Brothers and Showtime, Time Bandit, and Black Hat brands. We will share our knowledge with you, then go have a blast. Up in Smoke Fireworks, 173 West Main Street, Searsport.
Hi, I'm Tony with TC Hafford Basement Systems. All things basementy. Is your foundation shifting, settling, or cracking? Don't wait till it's too late. We offer the most reliable solutions to lift and stabilize your sinking foundation. With our advanced piering techniques, we'll ensure your home is back on solid ground. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
You know what today is? It's Tuesday. Just reminding you that whatever day of the week you get hurt, we're your go-to lawyers. If you've been hurt, call us right now.
On the Road, broadcasting the news at 6, live from Searsport, is brought to you by Colburn Shoe, with a wide selection of name brand shoes and sandals for spring and summer. Colburn Shoe Belfast, America's oldest shoe store. Top-notch detailing in Herman. Give me a call today to schedule your appointment, 232-2933. K&M Auto Repair in Holden, offering more than 25 years of automotive expertise. Come see us for your automotive repairs.
I was barricaded at the Capitol on January 6th. I saw it firsthand. I'm Jordan Wood. We can't go back to a broken system. I can't stand idly by as Trump rips away health care. ICE is terrorizing our streets, and billionaires buy elections. I spent my career defending democracy from election deniers and fighting corporate PACs. We need to take on Trump, beat Paul LePage, and finally deliver Medicare for all. I'm Jordan Wood. I approve this message.
The fun never stops at Wheel.
You got it! It's a car! You're a millionaire!
Weekdays at 7 on ABC 7. Up in Smoke Fireworks is family owned with a huge selection including Brothers and Showtime, Time Bandit, and Black Hat brands. We will share our knowledge with you, then go have a blast. Up in Smoke Fireworks, 173 West Main Street, Searsport.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, as we were talking earlier, it's a pretty nice day out there today. Saw lots of sunshine, pretty comfortable temperatures too. But we will notice that the clouds will be moving in as the day rolls along today, setting us up for some rain tomorrow. So if you have anything you need to get out of the way, like mowing your lawn, like I do, you may want to do it today. Here's Devin Biggs with your full forecast.
Alrighty, Craig, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center, now offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. Alrighty, wave heights, let's check those out at around 3 to 4 feet according to the buoys, and not enough to prompt any advisories along the coast. So overall, we're looking pretty good at this moment in time. Farther out towards sea where the cold front is at around 4 to 5 feet, so stirring it up a bit, but overall not too terrible to warrant any kind of trouble. But meanwhile, again, there's the rainfall from the front, but on land we have a little surface boundary that again is causing some clouds to develop. You can see the clouds moving in from the northwest and going toward the south and east. Again, that's a surface boundary right there, but the good news is we will lose those clouds overnight. But the only downside of that is, again, with the losing of the clouds, the winds are also going to back off overnight, so areas of frost will be expected. But more clouds on the way as we head towards your Wednesday. Some peaks of sunshine. We'll have rain chances as we head towards Wednesday afternoon and continuing into Wednesday night. And then once we head towards your Thursday, some dry stretches as well. And we are going to be watching for rain chances throughout the week. I'm actually going to run this all the way through the weekend, at least through Saturday at around 4:30 a.m. If any good news with this map, the bulk of the rainfall expected this week will be in the western parts of the state. This area needs it more, with this area moderate to severe drought with the last drought monitor that has been checked. So this is good news though for that area right there. They need it the worst throughout the period. But meanwhile, again, as we do push forward, gusty winds reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour today. The winds backing off later on tonight, but increasing again as we head towards tomorrow, up to around 20 miles per hour. So for today, increasing clouds and breezy, upper 50s for the overnight low, and that northwest wind at about 25 miles per hour. By tonight, low 30s, partly cloudy, areas of frost, and the wind overall looking nice and calm. Tomorrow, low 60s, mostly cloudy, afternoon rain showers, and that south wind at around 25 miles per hour. And let's check out your extended forecast. Rain chances continue Thursday and again for your Friday. High temperatures for both days will be in the lower 60s, but the good news is we will dry out for your Saturday. Look at these temperatures too coming up for your Saturday. Lower 70s will be on the way.
Sounds pretty good. Enjoy today. Not too far from here in Nova Scotia, it is pouring right now. Thank you, Devin, for that. We'll have more right after this.
Spring is here, and so are huge savings on all your favorite brands, including Benjamin Moore paints and Hunter Douglas shades. Color Concepts, 840 Hammond Street, Bangor.
Falls are the #1 cause of injury to senior citizens. Acorn Stairlifts has the solution. Just don't fall. Sit, relax, ride with an Acorn Stairlift, the world's leader in stairlifts. Don't let limited mobility keep you from going up and down your stairs, even outside. Call Acorn Stairlifts now for a free information kit and no obligation quote. Why risk falling when you can safely ride?
Our Acorn Stairlift is definitely more affordable than moving.
The Acorn Stairlift has a padded seat and backrest. Safety sensors stop the chair if there are obstacles. The seat swivels and locks so you don't twist your body. And the Acorn Stairlift folds away. It even runs during power outages.
I was really surprised at how little it cost.
Call 1-800-732-2971 right now for your free information kit or visit our website today. That's 1-800-732-2971.
People ask me all the time, does Lowry & Associates really get all of those clients, all of those big settlements? Yes, we do. And you know what else is true? I really am standing on top of this big truck.
Next Jeopardy, a clear-eyed champion.
Now has his sights set on win number 5.
Will the spot and the TOC come into focus?
Wow, no pressure.
Only on ABC 7.
Spring is here, and so are huge savings on all your favorite brands, including Benjamin Moore paints and Hunter Douglas shades. Color Concepts, 840 Hammond Street, Bangor.
The city of Ellsworth is in the process of once again transforming a section of Franklin Street into a parklet, a vibrant and shared outdoor space in the heart of downtown Ellsworth. Starting this week, the short connector street will be closed to vehicle traffic and 6 parking spaces will be unavailable. The Franklin Street Parklet was formed in 2020 in response to the COVID pandemic to give people a place to safely gather outdoors. And since then, city officials say it has become a familiar and well-used seasonal feature in downtown Ellsworth.
Just trying to find ways to bring the community together in downtown and activate the space and kind of encourage folks to come to downtown Ellsworth, and don't be shy to spend a little bit of time just hanging out here.
Residents and visitors are encouraged to plan ahead for parking alternatives. The parklet is expected to be completely set up within the next couple of days and will remain that way until December. Nice place to enjoy some nice time outside. All right, that'll do it for this hour, folks. We will continue following the latest on that Warden Service plane crash out in western Maine. Last report, rescuers were on the scene with ATVs, a life flight helicopter on the way. All the latest tonight at 6 o'clock. Have a good day, everyone.
I never get the flu.
My kids don't need more shots.
I don't have time.
We're all healthy.
No matter how you build your excuses, the flu can blow your house down.
I can't believe I used up all my sick time.
I missed a week of school during finals.
Now my baby has it because of me.
The hospital?
Keep your foundation strong. Vaccinate.